The entire cafe stood still. Chairs scraped softly against the tile floor as customers turned their heads, whispering behind napkins. The homeless man, his name was Carl, as Keanu would later learn, stood frozen, clutching his plastic bag tighter to his chest like it might vanish. Lisa's glare sharpened. "Excuse me," she hissed at Keanu, as if his calm defiance was an insult. Keanu remained unshaken. "He asked for water," he said, voice low and clear. "That's not a crime." Carl's lips quivered. "I can leave, it's—" "You're not going anywhere," Keanu interrupted gently, steadying the man with a nod. "You're going to sit. I'll get you the water." Lisa's face flushed, not with embarrassment, but anger. "You don't get to make decisions in my store," she snapped. "You're just some guy off the street. If you want to help him, take him somewhere else." Keanu blinked slowly, processing her words. "Your store?" he repeated, with a slight tilt of his head. She scoffed. "Yeah, I'm the manager. You think I don't know how to keep it clean around here?" A heavy silence filled the room. Keanu walked past Lisa without another word, heading behind the counter. A young barista, a skinny teen named Kyle, looked at him, panicked. "Sir, you can't be back here." Keanu calmly picked up a cup, filled it with ice water, and turned to Carl. "Here you go," he said warmly, walking it over. Carl reached out with trembling fingers, eyes glassy. "Thank you." "You don't have to thank me," Keanu replied. "You deserve kindness. Everyone does." And then someone clapped. A single clap. Then another. It was a woman near the window, mid-40s, in scrubs, sipping her coffee. She nodded toward Keanu. Finally, someone said it. Lisa's expression faltered. Her reign, built on quiet intimidation and no accountability, was slipping. But she wasn't done yet. "You want to play hero?" she barked, her voice climbing in pitch. "Then maybe you should run the place." Keanu's eyes locked with hers. For a flicker of a moment, something shifted in the air. Lisa stood in the center of the cafe, breathing hard, lips tight, eyes darting from Keanu to the crowd, now watching her every word. Her control of the room had cracked. And worse, it cracked in front of him. Keanu Reeves. By now, even Kyle the barista had figured it out. He'd whispered to another employee, and that whisper had rippled out like a dropped stone in still water. Phones were out, not call security, but to film. Lisa noticed and doubled down. "You think just because you're famous, you can do whatever you want? I don't care who you are. This is my store." Keanu didn't flinch. "I didn't ask for anything," he said softly. "I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask for special treatment. I just asked for a little kindness." Carl, still clutching the cup in both hands, looked up with wide, stunned eyes. Someone from the back called out, "You're not just some guy. You're Keanu Reeves." The tension cracked into murmurs. Lisa faltered. "So what?" she muttered. "He still has no right to ignore policy." Keanu turned to face her fully. His voice was still quiet, but this time it carried. "I didn't ignore policy," he said. "But maybe the policy is what needs changing." The room stilled again. Lisa laughed once, sharp and bitter. "And what? You're going to fix it. You're going to buy the cafe and play boss now." A long pause. Keanu looked at her, expression unreadable, then smiled barely. "No," he said. "I already did." The entire room froze. Even the blender stopped. Lisa's mouth opened, then closed. Her face turned pale. "You what?" she whispered. "I bought into this chain 2 months ago," Keanu said simply. "Quietly. To observe. To understand how the staff treats people when no one's looking." He looked around at the staff. Kyle dropped the spoon. "I was looking." Lisa staggered back a step. Keanu nodded once toward Carl. And so was he. The silence after Keanu's words hung in the air like a held breath. Lisa looked like she'd been slapped without being touched. Her jaw clenched. Her hands curled at her sides. But there was no comeback. No clever retort that could outmaneuver the weight of what had just been said. Lisa stood frozen, staring at the floor. Her arms weren't crossed anymore. Her voice was gone. So was her armor. Then, from the corner of the cafe, a voice, frail but clear, broke through the thick tension. "Miss?" Everyone turned. Carl was standing now, his cup of water still in hand, shoulders slightly hunched, but taller than before. Lisa blinked. "You treated me like I was trash," Carl said. Not accusing, not bitter, just honest. Like I didn't matter. Like I didn't even deserve to be in here. Lisa opened her mouth, but he kept going. "I've fought in wars. I've taught kids how to read. I've lost everything I ever owned. But I never lost the feeling that I could be someone. Until today." The cafe was completely still. "I didn't come in to beg," Carl added. "I came in for water. A little respect. That's all." Keanu stepped slightly to the side, as if to give Carl the floor. "And you know what hurts the most?" Carl said, eyes damp. "It's not even what you said. It's that you didn't see me. You saw something dirty, something broken, but not a person." A murmur rippled through the room. Carl's voice dropped. "Don't be the reason someone gives up on people." Lisa looked like she wanted to vanish. She turned to Keanu, lips trembling. I didn't know." He raised a hand gently, not to scold, just to stop her. "It's not about knowing," he said. "It's about choosing to care, especially when it's inconvenient." The cafe erupted into quiet claps. Not a performance, just respect. Carl sat back down, slowly, hands shaking. And for once, someone brought him a refill, no questions asked. The applause faded slowly, like a wave retreating from shore. But the weight of what had happened didn't go anywhere. Lisa stood frozen, staring at the floor. Her arms weren't crossed anymore. Her voice was gone. So was her armor. Keanu turned to the staff. Not the customers. Not the cameras. Just a young team behind the counter. Kyle, Marissa, Jaden, the part-timer who always arrived early and left late. He looked at them with a kind of calm no one had ever seen from someone famous. Not performative. Not polished. Just human. "I used to work in a place like this," he said, gently resting his hand on the counter. "Didn't own it. Didn't manage it. Just wash dishes. Clean floors." They listened. Really listened. "Places like this aren't about the furniture. Or the menu. Or who walks in," he continued. "They're about how people feel when they leave. And if they leave feeling smaller than when they came in, then it's not a cafe. It's a costume." He paused. "You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be saints. But you have a choice every single day. Serve coffee or serve people." Kyle swallowed hard. Marissa's eyes welled up. "And if you can't choose kindness," Keanu said softly, "at least stop choosing cruelty." The back room door creaked open. A woman stepped out, older, wiry, quiet. She wore a dishwashing apron and a look of total disbelief. She just learned secondhand that Keanu Reeves was in her cafe, giving a speech to the people who barely said hello to her. He caught her gaze, smiled warmly, and nodded. She smiled back, and in that moment, she felt more seen than in years. Then, without fanfare, Keanu turned to Carl. "Mind if I join you?" he asked. Carl blinked. "Me?" Keanu nodded. "Only if you'll let me buy you lunch." Carl sat across from Keanu now. Same cafe, same chair, but somehow everything around him felt different. Not because of fame, not because of spectacle, but because for the first time in a long time, someone had invited him to stay. Keanu placed 2 sandwiches and 2 coffees on the table. One had extra cream, the other black. Carl chuckled. "You got my coffee right. That's impressive." "I have good instincts," Keanu smiled. "And I ask questions." They ate quietly for a moment, letting the world catch its breath. Then Carl spoke, softly but with certainty. "You didn't have to do any of that back there." Keanu looked at him. "Maybe, but I couldn't just walk past it." Carl nodded slowly, then reached into the plastic bag he always carried. Carefully, he pulled out a folded, weathered envelope. He opened it and slid something across the table. A $5 bill. Keanu tilted his head. "Carl, don't refuse it," Carl said. "It's not for you." Keanu waited. Carl smiled, a little sad. "Every time I got something kind from someone, I saved a little to pass it on. Not much, but enough to do something." You reminded me why. He nodded toward the register. There's a young guy in line. Hoodie. Barely enough for a muffin. Buy it for him. Quietly. Tell him it's from a stranger who remembers being him. Keanu didn't say a word. He just took the 5 and stood at the counter. Keanu leaned over and quietly handed the bill to Kyle. For the kid in the hoodie, he said. Kyle blinked. From you. Keanu shook his head. No, he said. From someone who understands what it's like to feel small. Make sure he doesn't feel that today. Back at the table, Carl watched it happen with quiet pride. He didn't need a trophy. He just needed that ripple. Lisa hadn't moved from the back hallway. The voices in the cafe had faded. But the echo of Carl's words in Keanu's silence still rang in her ears. She wasn't fired. Not yet. But something had been taken from her, and not by force. Her control, her certainty, her belief that authority meant rightness was gone. Dana, the district manager, had arrived quietly during the commotion. She didn't storm in. She didn't yell. She just watched. Now she stood with Lisa in the manager's office. Door shut. Calm air. I saw the footage, Dana said. Lisa stared at the floor. I've read 6 customer complaints about you in the past 2 months, Dana continued, and 2 staff statements about your tone. Lisa blinked hard. I should just clear out my locker, she muttered, already reaching for her badge. But Dana didn't move. No, she said. You're not fired. Lisa looked up, surprised. You're demoted, Dana said. You'll be on floor duty for the next 3 weeks, supervised. You'll clock in like everyone else. Serve like everyone else. Listen like everyone else. Lisa's mouth opened slightly, but Dana kept going. If you can do that without bitterness, if you can learn from what happened today, really learn, we'll talk. Lisa exhaled slowly. And if I don't? Dana looked her in the eye. Then maybe this was never the right place for you. That afternoon, Lisa walked back onto the floor in an apron for the first time in over a year. No headset, no clipboard, just a drink tray and eyes that suddenly saw things she used to ignore. She passed Carl's table. He gave her a nod. She hesitated, then stopped. I'm sorry, she said. It wasn't performance. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Carl just nodded again, then took a sip of coffee. You're learning, he said. That counts. The cafe opened early the next morning. Kyle was first in, still bleary-eyed, still yawning, but something caught his attention before he even reached for the lights. It was small, subtle, mounted just inside the entrance, near the host stand. A plaque, wooden, brushed bronze lettering. Nothing flashy, just 5 words, engraved clean and centered. Everyone matters. Everyone belongs here. There was no signature, no announcement, no social media post. But Kyle knew exactly where it came from. So did Marissa when she walked in behind him and saw it. And Lisa, when she paused by the door that afternoon, just stood there staring at it like it was a mirror. Even Carl, when he came in for coffee, just coffee this time, rested his hand gently on the edge of the plaque and smiled. Later that day, Dana confirmed it. Keanu had called overnight, said nothing grand, no press release, just, I want the cafe to remember what happened. Not because of me, because of him. He didn't mean Carl alone. He meant all of them. The overlooked, the dismissed, the not a real customer, the you don't belong ones. The plaque became part of the cafe, quietly, like the smell of fresh bread, like the ring of the door chime, like the way Kyle now instinctively smiled at everyone, even when tired, even when they looked like they couldn't pay. Especially then. And from that day on, every employee had to walk past it to start their shift. No one complained, because deep down they knew it wasn't just a plaque. It was a promise. It was a gray Wednesday, the kind of day where people stayed in their cars a little longer, hoping the rain would ease up. The cafe was calm, the hum of espresso machines blending with soft indie music, and the clink of mugs being wiped clean. The door opened quietly. No one looked up. He didn't expect them to. Keanu Reeves stepped inside wearing the same hoodie, same jeans. He didn't come for attention. He came for something else. To see. He took a table near the window, the same one Carl had sat at. No entourage, no cameras, just a book and a coffee, ordered with a smile. Kyle didn't recognize him at first, but Marissa did. She gave a tiny nod, one that said, "I remember." He gave one back. "So do I." He watched the cafe breathe. He watched Lisa bring an extra napkin to a woman with a fussy toddler. He watched Kyle slide a croissant to a student who had ordered only a black coffee. "On the house, just today." He saw the plaque on the wall, untouched. He saw Carl, sitting with a clean jacket, a crossword puzzle, and no plastic bag today. Carl looked up and met his eyes. Keanu raised his cup. Carl grinned and returned the gesture. No words needed. Before he left, Keanu dropped a sealed envelope at the register with Kyle. "This is for the staff," he said, "to split evenly." Kyle blinked. "You don't have to." "I know," Keanu said, smiling. He stepped back into the rain and was gone before Kyle could say another word. Inside the envelope, 12 crisp $100 bills and a small note for every small kindness no one else saw, but someone felt. Weeks passed. Not much changed. And yet, everything had. The cafe still opened at 7 a.m., still served strong coffee, still had its mismatched mugs and drafty back door. But it felt different. It mattered now. To people. Carl came in every few days. He wasn't a ghost anymore. He wasn't a problem or someone to watch. He was just Carl, the guy who liked his coffee strong and his sandwich warm. He started volunteering nearby, helping young folks write resumes. He smiled more, talked more, sat straighter. One afternoon, Kyle found something taped to the front of the counter. At first, he thought it was an old receipt, but it wasn't. It was a note, handwritten in shaky cursive. "To whoever walks in here feeling invisible, you're not. I've been where you are, and someone saw me, so now I see you." Kyle showed it to Lisa. She cried. Then she laminated it and pinned it beside the plaque. Keanu never returned again. Not physically, anyway, but his presence remained. In the way people paused before speaking harshly. In the extra cookies slipped into a to-go bag. In the quiet moments someone chose to sit beside a lonely stranger instead of avoiding them. And in that little gold plaque at the entrance. Everyone matters. Everyone belongs here. It no longer felt like a reminder. It felt like a truth.